Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today for another Monday This and That video where I talk about all kinds of different topics, keeping you updated on current events going on around here, answering questions that may have come in the past week, and letting you know of more videos and collaborations yet to come. So let's get to the topics of today. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is I do not wear jewelry much at all, except for my wedding band. I used to wear a lot more jewelry, usually just costume jewelry. I didn't like anything expensive because I'd likely break it or lose it. So I was stuck with the cheaper stuff. So what happened was when I was taking down my winter decor with my little snowflakes and icicles, and I just love, especially in places where I got, because I use this kind of lighting all around my house. That's mostly how we light the house. And I love the way the snowflakes and the icicles would sparkle. And I really didn't want to take everything down. And I decided when I take this stuff down, I need to have something to replace it with. Not all over, but at least in a couple of places. And so I decided to go through my jewelry box of all this junk I never wear anymore. And I decided to take the pieces and create my own little, well, not really sun catchers necessarily because they're not clear, but just creating my own little dangly ornaments that I can put that would at least catch the light inside the house. And here's an example of one that I made. This one is my favorite because this was actually my mother's, and it was a pin that I got from her things after she had passed away. And I love hummingbirds, and I love the colors, and I love the fact this represents my mom. Well, I was wearing it on my jean jacket until it broke one day, and I was so disappointed. And then I thought, why not use this to make my own little dangly ornament that I can then hang up, and then it's always there and I can always see it. And so I always have all kinds of beads on hand. My boys and I used to like to make earrings and bracelets, and for a while I was making earrings and selling them on my Etsy store when it was open. But we still have tons of beads, and so that's what I did here. And then what I'm wearing right now, I'm not taking this apart. And I went ahead and just put it on because it actually happens to match what I'm wearing today. Well, this is actually, this is the one necklace I'll definitely keep. And the reason why is you'll see there's two different colors, combinations of beads. They're similar, but back when, I'm trying to remember what this clay is called. I can't remember. I want to say Fido clay or something like that. Anyway, I was homeschooling my kids, so we got into all different kinds of art projects together. And one of the things we got into was back then, and I think it was like in the late 90s, we were buying this clay in the different colors and making different things. And especially my oldest son, he got into making all kinds of little figurines. Anyway, the kids had made beads, and then each made me a necklace. And each necklace had half the amount of beads you see on this all together. So what I did, because they looked so pretty together, was I took all the beads off of both necklaces and made one. I did this years later actually, and then made one whole necklace out of them. It ended up being just the perfect length where I could pull it over my head. Anyway, so I've been doing that with some other different the ornament thing with some other different costume jewelry I had on hand, and so I have these nice little ornaments. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about was I kind of have a hankering for some dairy-free milk. Haven't had any in a while. I'm not dairy free, but for a while I was a vegan, and so I got into learning how to make different vegan type things for myself. And since I was never a dairy milk drinker, I like milk products. I love dairy products, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, you name it. But when it came to just drinking milk, I never, for as long as I can remember, liked to drink milk. Hated it. I mean, it was okay if it was chocolate milk or strawberry milk, but just plain milk, yuck. But I do love certain varieties of nut milks that I make myself, and one of them is just plain old Brazil nut milk. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to link you to my full dairy-free playlist down below, because I also show how you can make a vegan fettuccine sauce, a cream cheese, using the pulp after you make your milk, and various other things in there. I think I have a chocolate pudding recipe as well. These are all things I just came up with on my own. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started, and I put in, whoops, that might be a little bit much. I put in about a cup of nuts into a jar. Whenever you're talking whole nuts like this, you want to do this a day in advance. And what this cup of nuts is going to make is a quart of milk when it's all done. The first step, though, is you want to soak them overnight. Sliced nuts, maybe 8 hours tops, but when they're whole nuts like this, you do want to soak them, especially Brazil nuts because they're on the bigger side. You do want to soak them for about 24 hours. One of the things that does is it does help soften them quite a bit so that when you go to blend it up the next day, they'll blend up nice and it will make a good quality milk. The nice thing about making your own nut milk is not only is it so much cheaper, I mean, nuts are not cheap anyway, but it's cheaper than buying it pre-made in the store. But also a lot of the nut milks you buy in the store are full of a bunch of added ingredients you don't need. Whereas in this case, it's just the nuts and the water. That's it. Unless you want to add a little something to it, like throw in a couple of organic dates in there to sweeten it, or some homemade vanilla extract. Once in a while, I will do that. I might do that with this one as far as the vanilla extract, because if I'm just going to drink it, then that will add a nice flavor. But my goal is to try this with the turmeric and see what I think about making basically a golden milk using the Brazil nuts, and maybe add a little molasses to it and see what I think about that. So if you didn't see my turmeric video that I did, the benefits of, and it was fun putting that video together. Well, all of them are fun for me to do because I always learn new things every time I start researching. Even if I already knew a bunch about an herb before I started to do the profile, then when I do the more research so I can put together as much information about it as I can, I always learn some new stuff. And not only that, the comments people put below those videos, I learn even more from. So I really appreciate the interaction. I've got some more great ideas I'm going to try with the turmeric and various other things. And I love those testimonials. They are just so inspiring. So keep it up, people. But anyway, tomorrow I'll just go ahead and blend that up and then strain it. But if you'd like more information on that, please go check out that dairy-free playlist. I've got coconut milk, pecan cashew. That's another of my favorites, and a bunch of other types of dairy-free milks and more. Okay, so I have something really kind of exciting to talk about. Here's the fun thing or interesting thing. And you guys might think initially, offhand, this will sound a little crazy. As much as I hate getting injuries that kind of lay me up for a while, or getting some kind of illness maybe, which doesn't happen often, but I did end up coming down with a C virus over a year ago. And that activated the Epstein-Barr, which then it took me a whole year to fully recover from that. From the muscle fatigue, from the Epstein-Barr being reactivated. And I have a video on that I've only posted over to Rumble that I'll link to down below if you're interested in that, and some connections I made there. And then I finally get over that fatigue after that long a time. Then I go and injure my stupid knee. So, but here's the part that you're going to think sounds crazy, is that I actually, as much as I hate it, I like it at the same time, because every time something like that happens, it forces me to do some deep research, to learn more about my body, what's going on in there, what I did to myself, and how to naturally heal myself so I don't have to go to the doctor. And so a lot of you have been following my regular Monday videos and some of the other videos that have come out where I've talked about my knee. Well, you know, at first it was an injury that was developed over a process of time with the exercises I was doing. And then I think mostly came from running the treadle machine. Like I was just pumping out a whole bunch of skirts. And it probably was doubled or tripled up with a few other things that I was doing, causing development within the tendon inside my knee, where it was getting worse and worse all the time. And once I figured out, okay, I'm doing something here, I need to take a break from all this stuff and then just work on healing my knee. But before it could really fully heal, then I re-injured it, making it far worse than it was before. But the healing process is coming along great, except another thing that happened. And I think it happened when I was picking Jackson up to change his diaper. And he's getting kind of heavy. And I had forgotten to put my knee brace on before I went to change his diaper. And it's just to the point now where I shouldn't even be putting him on a changing table anymore. I just need to lay him out on the floor is what I need to do. something along the inside part of my knee, not inside the knee, but on the inner side of the knee, which I don't know if it was a ligament or something else, but something else happened in there, causing not as near as much pain as the initial injury, but it was more of a come and go kind of pain, which kind of made me think more of a nerve pain. But what kind of freaked me out was that a couple nights ago, it dawned on me there was something more going on in there. And for 2 nights in a row, I couldn't sleep well because it hurts. It would ache, and then it would go away, and then it would ache, and I couldn't find a comfortable position. Even though the other part, the original injury has been getting better, and I've been able to work, or it's still tender. I still have to be very careful with it, but it is healing up great. Something else did happen in there. And that, of course, caused me to do some more research to see if I could figure out, well, what did I possibly do this time? I still haven't narrowed down exactly where it was coming from, but it was clear that something must have ruptured in there, causing some kind of internal bleeding and swelling, and thus, of course, the pain that I was feeling. And I think that what was happening was the inflammation was pressing up against a nerve, and it really did feel like nerve pain because it would shoot through all down to my ankles and up through my hip. And then I had some other telltale signs of that there was clearly some bleeding going on under the skin, and including some markings on my skin. And once I had pretty much figured out that's what was happening, I decided that I needed to stop using the heat, at least for a time, and putting on my muscle and joint rub and the DMSO and any of that stuff, and to just take a break from that and start icing it. So I did that, and that did immediately start helping with the pain. But I knew that if it was a constant bleeding going on, it was something I needed to try to stop. And because it can cause worse problems within the knee if you allow bleeding to continue. And so knowing that yarrow is a natural styptic, which will stop bleeding. It can be used internally and used externally. What I did was I went out and I actually had some fresh yarrow already starting to grow out front. So I harvested some of that. And I added also horsetail to that, which is also a styptic, and some red pepper, also good at helping to stop bleeding. And I made a tea out of that and then drank a cup of that last night. And on top of that, I remembered that I had this infused oil I'd actually made quite a while back. I'd actually forgotten all about it, and it was made from homegrown plantain and yarrow. And I didn't put a year on here, so I don't really know how old it is. So instead of using my regular muscle and joint rub, that would actually help speed up blood flow, which is why I wanted to stop the heat in the joint and muscle rub because of that. I figured this would be best because taking the yarrow both internally and applying it in an external form, and by the way, plantain is also naturally styptic. So I gently rubbed that. I didn't want to press too hard and massage real hard because I don't want to make anything worse in there. So I gently rubbed that all around my knee, especially in the area where I felt this possible rupture or whatever had happened. And I did that last night plus the tea. Then I also, to help reduce inflammation, took my pain and muscle extract. I haven't really been taking this on a regular basis. I only took it once that night that I initially injured my knee, and I have an interesting story about that too. But then I took this again last night because I wanted to make sure that it would not only help reduce the inflammation, but would help me to not hurt so much and relax me so that I could sleep better, because my pain extract, my newest recipe, not only has catmint in it, but it also has valerian leaf. So both are good at helping you to relax, reduce the stress, and also help curb pain. And no problem sleeping last night. I slept great, pain-free. It was amazing. And so when I got up this morning and checked my leg, I noticed the swelling had gone down. The clear markings of bleeding under my skin had reduced and had turned brown. They were no longer red, which that was a good sign. So that tells me that if there truly was bleeding going on in there, I did definitely stop it. I'm still going to continue this regimen. I'm going to take this again tonight before I go to bed if I don't feel like I need it sooner, just to make sure I can sleep good, because sleep is important to heal. And I'm going to be applying the yarrow and plantain extract or oil probably 3 times a day. And then once I know for certain that it's, I just want to make sure, then maybe I'll go back to using the heat packs, but being a little more careful not to overdo it on that, and the joint and muscle rub. So just like I'm always telling people, you got to listen to your body. Just because something is good for something does not mean that it's good all the time, and you got to pay attention and know when it's time to stop. So when I realized that, I knew it was time to stop the heat pack, stop the joint and muscle rub, anything that was going to increase blood flow to that area, because it was important I actually stop the blood flow. So there are, even though I don't believe in always icing injuries, there are times that it is important, especially if you have internal bleeding going on. It should be iced to help slow that down, not speed it up. Anyway, I wanted to share that. And then here was the other interesting thing I was going to share last week about the pain extract, is that when I did the second injury, when I was talking about how, I was breaking a board, and then, I did my little twist, and it wasn't even just the twist, it was the transference of weight from one leg, then back to the injured leg, that then down I went, even though I hurt like something fierce. And when I managed to get some help over to a chair, keep in mind, I was very, very mad. Not only was I in a lot of pain, I was really mad when this happened, because I'm like, I don't have time for this kind of injury. So I was so mad. I was mad at myself for being stupid and whatever. Well, as I was sitting there talking with my friends, because it happened during one of our gatherings, I noticed I was starting to sweat, and I was starting to feel nauseous, a little bit dizzy, like maybe I was going to pass out. And I'm like, I can't be going into shock. I'm not that much of a wimp. Well, my friend got on there and looked it up, and she said that adrenaline can cause you to feel that way. And so what you need to do is we need to get you to calm, we need to just kind of calm everything down. And so they helped me go get over the couch so I can lay down. And then I remembered the pain remedy, which I should have just thought to take right away. My friend asked me, would you like me to go get that? And I'm like, no, I'll be okay. Well, then once I realized what was happening, I was like, I think I'll take that pain extract after all, because I do also know there's valerian leaf in there that will help calm me. And let me tell you, I took that, and within a few minutes, not only did it help reduce the pain, it didn't knock it all out, because it was a pretty bad injury, but it immediately started to calm me, and I started feeling better. Almost, the nausea went away, the dizziness, all that was gone. And so I am just really sold on my homemade recipe here, especially my newest one. So if you would like some more information on how I made this, I have the recipe. I also believe I typed it out. And so I'll link you back to the video on this in the description box down below. Just keep in mind, this is what I do that works for me. It doesn't mean it's going to be the best for everyone. That's why I also have videos where I put together lists. So I have a video that's just on a list of natural pain remedies. So maybe you can't have the valerian, but you can have the catmint, or maybe you can have something else that's going to work better for you. So it's always good to learn about the different ones and find out what works best for you. And then if it starts making you feel kind of weird, or you're seeing some weird side effects, stop. Don't fall back on the Herxheimer thing saying, oh, it's my body detoxing. No, it's your body telling you need to stop. That's what it's telling you. So anyway, that's just my little testimonial on that. That's what I enjoy about this, is I'm learning new stuff, and this does indeed work when you pay attention to your body, you do a little research, know how your body's knit together, and then help it to repair itself with the God-given things we have to do that with. All right, and one more thing, the collaboration. So right now, Fermented Homestead has her Fermented February collaboration going on, video coming out every day this month about fermenting, and Anna's video was great. Her opening, she did the February 1st. I loved it, absolutely loved it. Mine's publishing on the 21st, but there's many more channels a part of this, and I will put the full playlist in the description box down below, but keep in mind each day there'll be new videos added that will pop up in there. So you might want to check that playlist every day. And then as far as my collaborations I have going on, I think I'm finally getting close to having enough photos for the food recipe collaboration and the medicinal recipe collaboration. I'd still like to get more. Please make sure if you're taking photos that any of these collaborations like this are You making something based off my instructional videos and making any of the tweaks you want, any kind of changes you want to it, taking photos of it, and then sending them to me and letting me know whether or not you want your name, your first name only, or your channel name on those. And then I will put the slideshow together. So still would like a few more photos for the food recipe collaboration. So when you send those, make sure you title the email according to that. So it should say food recipe. So that's going to be breads, main dishes, desserts, that kind of stuff. No ferments. That's a separate one. We'll be doing another one of those later on down the road. So no vinegars, wines, or any of that. And no medicinal recipes in that one. For medicinal recipes, if you take photos of that, do the same thing at the top of the email, title it Medicinal Recipe Collaboration. And then those would be things like tinctures, extracts, teas, syrups, rubs like the muscle rub, the vapor rub, any of those kind of medicinal related recipes I have out there, or anything based off of those. That will go in there. And then the one I'll be doing after that, so we might as well start getting into this, is a dehydrating one. So any of the things that you've dehydrated, be it eggs, milk, meats, vegetables, herbs, whatever it is, based again off my videos, then take photos of those, send them to me at raincountryhomestead@gmail.com, titling that one Dehydrating Collaboration. And if you have photos for all three, send 3 different emails, all titled separately, because those emails go into individual folders with those titles. So that's why I don't want you putting all the photos into one email. And it looks like I might actually finally have enough quilt squares to get that quilt made. I'll keep you updated as that comes along. Once my knee is well enough to start sewing, I might start getting to work on that. So anyway, but thanks for those who have asked. And if you have any other thoughts or suggestions or comments or questions, please put them in the comment section down below. Oh, and don't forget to check out the links and all the stuff I'll be putting in the description box. Click on that horizontal box you see just below the video screen. That will open it up to see everything that we've got in there. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.